first question is what is sound engineering? It's like it's more into engineering. So in sound engineering, electronics comes, physics comes, a lot of mathematics comes. So it's it's all together. Like even like few people actually do acoustics. Okay, they do acoustic soundproofings, all these stuffs. So that is more into an engineering again. So but in India, like in our career and industry, more people are looking forward into recording arts, mixing, mastering, Dolby Atmos, all these steps. So even in like a few people are going for dubbing. So sound engineer, there's like a lot of career, like let's say in medical industry, you know, like there is dental dentist, there is ortho, like that. Lot of people are there, right? A lot of set of people are there, right? So similarly in audio engineering also there is a lot of set of peoples. It's not just like just audio engineers. Audio engineers or sound engineers are like divided into several categories. Okay, so there is dubbing engineers, there is foley editors, there is sound designers, there is sound mixers, there is mastering engineers, there's mixing engineers. Like this, there's lot of categories. Even there is gaming engineers. Okay, there is few people actually sound design for games. So that is an interesting job. Like this, there's lot of subdivisions, divisions, and categories, and there is lot of career opportunities when it comes to sound engineering. Okay, so it's a nice question. Like even I get the same question several times because nowadays, yeah, yes, sound engineering course, it's actually quite expensive when it gets to, because in engineering, like they use a lot of tools. Okay, a lot of expensive tools. You can see behind there is a lot of tools. Okay, so learning online is just you are learning the editing part. Okay, so basically learning online, you might be having a small DAW is called a digital audio workstation that we use to edit the sound. Okay, so it is just a canvas. Okay, so you just have the canvas, but the color tools are here. Okay, so the actual tools are here. That is just the paper you have. So in online, if you're learning, you just have an empty paper, but the tools are here on your desk. So maybe you can just get an idea. Like yes, there is a lot of online courses around, but still you have just a, maybe you just have a paper and pencil. Okay, you have the DAW and the plugins in your DAW, maybe they are the pencils. Okay, but the actual brush tools, everything, like even the scales, the measurements, everything as the hardwares we have here at the studio. And you need a like a proper acoustics, you need a proper treated room, you need a good monitors, like these kind of speakers, like very grade A speakers, for your mixing or mastering. You need like good microphones also. So and yes, experience that matters. And like see, sound engineering, it's not just a theory. Okay, it's more into electronics. You have to learn all these gears, learning the electronic prospects of that gears. So basically, like let's say there is different compressors. There is a unit called compressor in sound engineering. It's a very common term, we use it in sound engineering. So let's say learning a compressor, there's a lot of different types of compressors. There's optical compressors, FET, solid state, like that, different types of compressors. So there is different components inside these sort of compressors. So these difference you have to learn by listening to the original hardwares. And the DAWs, the softwares you use, they have only the emulations of that. Okay, so it is very hard to learn the emulations. It's just like the essence you are learning. Okay, but the original hardware is here in the studios. So it's always better to learn from the hardwares, and to have a studio and a good environment and like good teacher. That is the most important part. Okay, because in film, like we do a lot of tips and techniques. It's not just the theory we are working, we actually break the rules. A lot of ways we break the rules. So just to break the rules, you have to need to learn from a professional guy, where you can, like, he or she will guide you in a nicer way. That's a huge question. I don't know how to explain in this video, but still I can just like brief you a little bit. So yes, miking techniques, rather than I will say like the way of mikings we understand. So basically, there is two approach. We can record an instrument, or we can record the instrument with the whole environment. And sometimes, like whole group of instruments are called to an instrument. For example, strings. Okay, strings are group of people. Like in strings, there'll be like violins, violas, cellos, double bass, everything. Actually, all these instrument comes together to call it strings. Okay, so to record the whole strings, you need to record the whole environment. Environment means that that hall, including that chamber, the whole people, the reflections in that room, the way they have positioned in the on the stage. So all this has to be included in a miking. So here we have to record the whole space. It has to sound like that actual space. So the spacing, the positioning, everything has to be detailed in a miking technique. Okay, so that we call as a stereo miking. So there is a lot of stereo miking techniques. It can be like AB, XY, RTF, like MS miking, Bloomlin pair, like that kind of lot of miking techniques are there. But again, I maybe like, let's say, mono mikings are there, boundary layer mikings are there. There's like a kick, sub kick mikings, and there is like different types of mics also there. Like there is tube microphones, condenser microphones, dynamic microphones. So like we have to choose these mics according to the instruments we record. Okay, let's say like if you're recording a very louder instruments like a snare or a kick or something, like we prefer like going with the dynamic microphones. But if you are recording like a vocalist, lead vocalist or something, we may record on a condenser. That is again, maybe we can change it, because sometimes like we record a rapper something, like we record with a dynamic microphone. Okay, so I can show you a few microphones that we regularly use. So this one is a Tube AK-47. This is a Tube AK-47 Mark 1. So this one is a tube condenser microphone. It's a very expensive microphone. We use this to record vocals. Okay, this is a very special vocal microphones. And this is a mono mic. This is not a stereo mic, but this is having a lot of different polarities. Okay, this can actually work like a cardioid pattern, or this can actually work like a bi-directional pattern, or also like there's an omnidirectional patterns in this. And choosing this pattern and the miking techniques, that actually depends on that room and the space and the final sounding. Okay, so as a sound engineer, you has to get a final idea about your song. Let's say in your song, whether you need a very wider guitars, or you need a like a very focused guitars. According to that, you have to choose the miking techniques. So it may vary from song to song, from instrument to instrument, from room to room, like that. Even from like your creative way. Sometimes you can actually do some mad makings, some mad creativity, and it's that time, like I said, right, you can break the rules. There's no rules for miking also. Sometimes you can put random mics anywhere. Okay, just end of the day, you have to get the best sound. That's it. Okay, it's a very nice question. Yes, internship is very, very important when it comes to career like this, because audio engineering you can't learn self. Okay, audio engineering you can't learn from books. Maybe you can learn like at least to a point, or like a certain to a point. But again, to get more experience, you need a like a guy who is very experienced. You have to work with the industry, because the actual learning actually happens when you step into the industry. Okay, because in our industry in India, I'm saying, okay, and in the Indian industry, like we don't have much time. Like so the movie gets shoot schedules. We have to be very super fast. Okay, and once you get into the super fast industry, you have to like the workflow is a very very big thing. Like it is a big matter when it comes to our career. So you have to get a workflow. You have to get like very confident with your work. So all these things and the tips and tricks, like the that secret sauce okay, behind the mixes and the best recordings, to get that, like I told you, right, like there's a lot of miking techniques and how to decide in between all these techniques, how to blend all these techniques, how to get the best signal flow. So all these things you have to get into the industry, then find it. Okay, so these changes according to the singers, according to the artist. So all these things you can't directly go, like let's say you finish the course, okay, and next day you are going for a recording. Okay, it's not about the like the learning, because when you approach a singer, when you approach an artist, that is totally different. You have to get some idea to how to present to them. Okay, you have to get that the feel how they're going to sing, and you need some experience how to make them sing. That's a main fact when it comes to recording. Okay, so sometimes you have to make them happy, you have to make a good environment. All this actually comes from an internship. So you have to see an engineer how they handle an artist. Okay, that is much a big thing, rather than getting like lot of gears and having a lot of knowledge. Okay, so first thing is like you have to manage your clients, you have to manage your artist, you have to manage your co-workers. So all this actually is very tough thing, like when you just learn and go into the industry. So it's very very mandatory to get into a nice internship, to get into like job, like you go and assist some good engineers or good studios, and see what they're doing, how it happens. Okay, so yes, that is very mandatory. Internships are very mandatory. That is my opinion. Mixing is again it's a very technical thing, and again there is a lot of creative things happening in mix. So mixing is like let's say you have a lot of recordings. Okay, after recordings you have a lot of multiple tracks, right? Like in your session you'll be having a lot of multiple tracks. So we have a spectrum, we have dynamic range, lot of things, and it's only just one song. Okay, and this one song has to sound from two speakers. Okay, so you have to place each and every instruments in between your spectrum. The spectrum can be the monitoring spectrum is there. uh, there is a frequency spectrum, there's an amplitude spectrum, basically the dynamic range. So according to this you have to place each and every instruments, and not even, it's just not just placing, it has to be in a very creative way and in an interesting way. Okay, and like it's your choice, the engineer's choice, whether this has to be high or low. Even the composer's ideas also will be getting into this. So according to their like discussion, like this has to happen. So this mixing is like getting all the instruments in a right way into the track. Okay, and mastering is like that is a very technical aspect, that is a totally technical aspect. So mastering is like done because let's say you are working on an album, and there's 6 songs in an album, and two different engineers are working for the same album. Okay, you have 3 songs done by a guy called A, 3 songs done by a guy called B. Okay, so both the guys will be working in their own creative ideas, and that songs might like sound quite different in the spectrum and algorithm. But again, the 6 songs are from the same album. So first thing is like you have to bring all this into a like a similar sounding, at least the spectrum wise and the amplitude wise it has to sound similar. So that is the first mastering aspect. So basically you have to balance the album in all the ways. Okay, so that is one thing. And the second thing is like your songs has to get a standard of that can be in levels, that can be in the spectrum, and the low ones, the frequency standards, everything it has to meet. It has to get a flat standard. So to achieve the standard, and another the third point is like the song has to sound good in all the devices. Okay, sometimes a song will be like listened in speakers, like the hi-fi speakers, It has to sound good in hi-fi speakers, even in headphones, and sometimes in TVs. So all these like medium, the song has to sound nicely good. Okay, so for this you need these mastering. In olden days, the term mastering was like given for this guy who do the vinyl cutting. Okay, so the olden days in like 50s and 60s, there were like only the vinyl devices. Okay, so the mastering engineer was that guy, because that guy is the guy who decides the levels of the vinyl cuts. Okay, so that like they used to listen to the vinyl cuts. But here the mastering engineer is like the last guy who actually decides the levels for the Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, and all the other mediums. Okay, and again, so mastering, like they do little bit of tweaks using some interesting hardwares like this. So there is like some compressors, there is some limiters, there is some widening equipments and all, and there is some like extremely mastering monitors also. So in these, like you can actually see there's a lot of sets of monitors here, right? Different sets of monitors. Even there's a small monitors also. So that is a hi-fi reference. That's a consumer. We call it as a consumer audio. So it has to sound good in a consumer audio. It has to sound good in a two-way speaker. It has to sound good in a three-way speaker. It has to sound good in a bigger speakers also. So we have a lot of different speakers here for mastering, and we get the best reference here. And finally, we decide, yeah, this song is good in every speakers. Then the mastering process is over. Okay, so finally, we discussed a lot of things about audio engineering and mixing, mastering, miking, a lot of things, and where to learn all these. Like, so here we have Blu Academy, so you can learn audio engineering. There is crash courses, there is music production, there is you can learn Dolby Atmos, there is diploma courses in audio engineering. So come and see the steps here. So we have all the gears. You will get hands-on experience, a lot of practical experience, and we have a lot of experienced industry people who are teaching. Because if it's an academy, again, you need a very experienced people to teach you, those who are working in the real industry. So we here have the industry people in our academy to learn the live sound, the Foley sounds, the Atmos, the mixing, the mastering, the music production, everything to A to Z you can learn at Blu Academy. So you can join here. We will give the contact and details on the link here.